All right, back here on Inside Wrestling Radio. And today on the telephone, we have April Hunter. Of course, her website is aprilhunter.com. Lots of stuff on that website. And we talked about it at the beginning of the interview here a little bit, April. But, man, I got to tell you, that that website is something else, man. You got some good stuff on there. Tell the people as much as you can on regular radio here a little bit about what's going on aprilhunter.com.
Well, if you're a wrestling or a centerfold fan or even a fetish fan, that is the site for you. I have right now over 11,000 pictures and videos, over 300 behind-the-scenes diaries with all the snapshots and crazy gossip that goes with it. That's why we keep that in the members area, because a lot of that stuff you can't actually talk about in public or you get major heat. Yeah, there's a lot on there, so it's definitely worth it.
I was going to say, yeah, you're definitely right. It's definitely worth a trip to go by there and check out, because there's lots of stuff out there. And I know you have a member section as well, but you got a lot of free content on there too, right?
I do, yeah. Yeah, something for everybody.
Awesome. Yeah, go by and check out. It's aprilhunter.com, and of course you can be found on Twitter too at aprilhunter. And you got a couple of Facebook pages as well, right?
I do. One is official April Hunter fan page. And that's my main one. I had to open because the other one, they only let you have a certain amount of people, and I filled it up.
Yeah, you got over the 5,000 limit there.
Yeah, I don't know why they haven't raised that. When you go on the road and you meet lots of people, you want to add them, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. All right, April, before we went to the break, you'd mentioned some of your international travels, and during the break, you and I were talking about the difference between the way the Japanese treat you and the way you were treated in Mexico there. Tell us a little bit about the difference.
Okay. Well, I think anybody who's in love with wrestling and really wants to get good at what they do should work probably both areas, but especially in Japan, especially for as long as possible. Japan is the most professional, amazing place I have ever worked. I'm speaking. Well, I go to all the guys' shows too. When you're there, they have a courtesy thing. The tickets in Japan are really expensive. You're talking $50, $60 a ticket to go see a wrestling show over there. Yeah, so they do a courtesy thing for wrestlers, where on your off days, if you want to go catch a show and you tell them you're a wrestler, they'll let you in for free, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So I've seen like all the shows over there. And okay, let me give you an example. In Japan, if you're new or you're limited or whatever, they'll have you come in and they'll put something together, a good match, where they will try and make you look as strong as possible. And they will try their best, if they can, to put a match that works for the fans, even if you cannot do much. When I started over there, I've worked there a bunch of times, and when I first started, I was pretty limited. And I came in a couple days early, and they worked with me over stuff. And I could still see when I watched the match back, I could still see I was a little bit cautious about certain things and unsure because no one spoke any English, really. But I also saw that the match worked for the crowd. The stuff that I saw wasn't necessarily what the fans saw. So I really appreciate that kind of professionalism. Anybody would. You know, you're in a strange land, you're jet-lagged as balls. You know? You don't understand anything. The food is really weird, because Japanese food here is not Japanese food there, let me tell you.
Right.
Yeah, and all you want to do is have a good match. You're working in halls a lot of times that have no air conditioning, and it's not unusual for it to be with the lights 110 degrees. So, you're trying to do your best. Now, if you go to Mexico, you're working in the same conditions, basically. A lot of times, outdoor shows, 110 degrees, the whole 9 yards. But from what I have noticed, the Mexicans don't have the same professional ways about them. That's a really, 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 really hard place to work. If anyone has told me they've worked in Mexico for any amount of time, I always know that they've paid their dues. Yeah. Because the pay is usually crappier, the conditions are much crappier, and the wrestlers, from what I can tell, especially the women wrestlers, there's a couple that are really, really good there, but usually they have worked Japan. But I have had girls take liberties on me, and I was told by another American girl who'd been down there a lot longer than I had. I was so pissed one time, this girl cracked me over the head in the temple. I was selling, I was down on the ground, we were in the crowd. I turned around, and she cracked me in the temple with a chair. I had no idea it was coming, and I was just bleeding down my head, and I was just like, I started going after her. My tag partner grabbed me, and she goes, "Don't do it." I said, "Are you freaking kidding me? I'm going to freaking kill her right now." She goes, "Don't do it."
Yeah.
She's a 20-year veteran. Do not do it. You'll have this whole locker room after you. I'm like, screw that. Where I was trained, you give it, you expect to get it.
Get that
That's
receipt,
just the way
right?
it is.
Yeah.
I said, and she will never touch me again after that. She goes, "Don't do it. Trust me, it's different down here." So I was never allowed to give that girl a receipt. And I felt like she did it because I was new down there. I didn't really know what I was getting into. And the Mexican girls are really jealous of the American girls. We come down, they send us around to the press, we do all the page 3 bikini shoots, they make a big fuss over us, and even though the pay is crap for us, it's still better probably than what they're getting.
Right.
So they hate us. You really have to learn to work down there because it is not uncommon for you guys to map some kind of a match out and then the Mexicans to just change their mind and just stand there. They will just stand there and let you drown in the middle of the ring.
Wow.
Like they'll just stop working just to see how you handle it.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
So that happened to me once. It happened to me once or twice, and I caught on real quick, and I just went over and grabbed the girl by her hair and threw her. So
just took things in your own hands, as it were, right?
Yeah. Or you just go running after her and punch her in the face, and then they remember, oh gosh, I'm supposed to be working with somebody.
What's the difference in the crowds, April? You worked in, of course, America. You worked in, you mentioned Japan and Mexico, and you worked in Canada a lot too. What's the difference in the fans?
Oh, they're awesome. I mean, they're really awesome. Usually they get much bigger crowds. Japan is awesome. Mexico's really awesome. They still have kayfabe there, and absolutely, I love the Mexican fans. You can get mobbed. I mean, you're really considered a celebrity down there when you're a wrestler, a big celebrity. Same with Japan a lot. You know, Canada is like the whole country in general. To me, always reminds me of a mixture of America and England. Like they take the best bits of both and put it together up there. So you could work for a smaller crowd in Canada, but a lot of times the fans themselves are good. They're really good. Kind of like that Philly crowd, you know? Like that, but without the psychotic mentality. England is really good. France is really good. Germany is really good. Oh, and we worked in, like, the Eastern Bloc, too. I went up there with AWR, and that was really good. In Bulgaria and Romania, they were really good. Yeah, and Puerto Rico's really good, too. They got insane crowds down there, or they were.
What do you think, where's your favorite place to work out of all of that? If you really had to just look at it, where would be your absolute favorite spot?
A toss-up between Germany and Japan.
Just because of the fan reaction?
Oh, Ireland. Ireland, too, is fun.
Just because of the way that you were treated by the fans and stuff?
Combination of the way I was treated, a love of those countries, and the promoters treated me well, and they take women's wrestling more seriously in those places.
And that makes a world of difference too. Is how you're accepted by and treated by the promoters really would be the main difference maker, I would assume. Yeah. Kind
of. And I know when I go to those countries, I have to be on my game and turn it up a notch and start pulling out stuff I haven't done in a while. Like dig deep and pull out those submissions and those forearms and all these things. Whereas here, I come back and I just put on something skimpy and schlep through a couple of things, and I phone it in basically because I know it doesn't matter anyway. Half the time our time gets cut short, or we get pushed to the right before or right after the right after the break, the intermission. Like no one cares. It's like we're the midget match. Of the
new millennium.
We replace the midgets.
Yeah,
so,
that's a good point.
Yeah. Here it's just for money. It's like, oh, yeah, okay, I want to go home to Philadelphia to see my mom, or I want to make a payday or something. I'm so banged up anyway, I don't really, you know what I mean? But when I go somewhere else, I seem to care about it.
Gotcha.
If I care about it in the United States, it will kill me. It will. It will absolutely break my heart. So I've gotten to where I just don't allow myself to care about it anymore.
Let's talk a little bit about TNA. You worked up there for them a little bit, and they actually offered you a contract in 2009 that you turned down. What was the reason behind that?
2010 they did.
Oh, 2010. I'm sorry. Yeah, 2010.
Yeah, last year it was. They offered me a contract. The thing was the pay there is really bad.
Right.
I mean, it's really bad. I mean, I would love to work for them. The schedule's great, and I love the people there, and it's a laid-back atmosphere and stuff, but hey, it's really bad. And to add insult to injury, they wanted me to sign a waiver saying if anything happened to me medically, they weren't responsible.
Do you think that came behind the deal with Daphne there, where they wanted Daphne to pay for her own medical expenses?
Maybe. I know like 4 different people that they were asked to pay for their own medical stuff. I mean,
that's just insane.
And they're still trying. They were told they would have it covered, and then when they went to try and get the money back, it's been, a hassle. So, I don't know. I just, they ask you to do things in the ring, too, that it's not what you would normally do sometimes. So, and accidents just happen in wrestling. They just do, So it was uncomfortable for me to get a couple $100s for a match that I might actually mess my neck up on and go bankrupt myself.
Yeah.
It just didn't seem worth it.
Yeah, and I understand that. And you would, I don't know what's the deal with that company, man. They seem to sometimes get on the right track, and then the next thing you know, they're doing just absolutely ridiculous things. But to their credit, they have been very kind to their female division there.
I have, and I would love to be a part of it. I really, really would. I mean, honestly, if anything changed, I would love to go there. It's just, I cannot, in good conscience, work for a place where I'm doing physical work but not covered should something happen in the ring.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that.
It's not smart. It's just not smart.
No, it's not. We had Dutch Mantell on a couple of weeks ago, and he was telling us, he was instrumental in getting that knockouts division going down there. And he said that he really, at first, got a lot of resistance against going with that division, but once they gave it to him and let him run with it, they really seem to have at least grasped the idea. But like you said, if they're not compensating you or taking care of you, what's the use, right?
Yeah, especially if you come out worse off than when you went in.
April, we're really short here on time. But before I let you go, I wanted to get your thoughts on what are your opinion on the difference between the knockout division and the WWE Divas?
Just off the top of my head, I think the knockout division has far more potential.
Yeah.
But because they don't have because they have too many cooks in the kitchen over there or whatever's going on, they don't have the money or the machine like WWE has.
Right.
I think that the Divas are going to ultimately do better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I see what you're saying. It just seems to be more talent in the knockouts, but the Divas are what gets all the attention, I guess.
More talent and variety. I mean, I really like that they have a whole different types and different. I think I think TNA really should. I'll try and sum this up in a really short thing because I know it's short. Okay, Walmart moved into the areas that every other shopping store. Basically, they were all fighting for the Highland areas. They all wanted the main inner city stuff, the Macy's and the Bloomingdale's and everything.
Yeah.
Walmart went into all the off areas where, the suburban stuff where nobody wanted to go.
Right.
And now they're the largest retailer in the entire world. So they're the most successful and they make the most money. And everybody said, don't go into those areas. I think TNA should do the same thing.
Yeah.
They should do what WWE is not willing to or doesn't want to. They should run with the women's division and run with the cruiserweights, because that's the two areas that WWE just really doesn't seem to have high regard for.
Yeah.
And they should run with that and make their name off of those two groups of people.
Right, just go at it a completely different way instead of doing status quo with bringing in, of course, Hogan and those cats again. Right? Yeah, I got you. Good point.
Yeah.
All right, we're out of time here, April. Thank you so much for coming on the program today. Really, really great to have you on. And that first segment there when you were talking about training, man, I couldn't have said it any better, and I really appreciate everything that you had to say. That was really great. Website again, aprilhunter.com. Go by there and check out her website. If you don't do anything else today, go by aprilhunter.com. It will be well worth your while. Where else can we see you, April? You got anything coming up?
Where am I? I'm not even looking at my schedule right now. I do, but I can't think of what it is. But my schedule is on aprilhunter.com.
Okay, yeah. Check out aprilhunter.com, her schedule and where she can be seen and other appearances. And are you doing any wrestling now at all? Anything coming up?
I am. I do conventions. I do wrestling. It's just a matter of I just moved. Yeah. And I think it's a shock now to have people have to fly me into places. So I'm still sorting all that out.
Thanks again so much, April, for coming on the program. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. That website again, aprilhunter.com. You can also check her out on Twitter at April Hunter, and she has a couple of official Facebook pages as well. Just search for April Hunter, and she will pop up. April, thank you so much. We'd love to have you on again sometime.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. No problem.
Okay, that's going to do the interview portion of the program. We'll be right back here to close the show on Inside Wrestling Radio coming up next.